Hello, my name is Laura Hillman, and I am the vocal music director and an elementary music specialist for Cheyenne Public Schools in Cheyenne, Oklahoma. In this presentation, I will share some of the important components found in my problem of practice research conducted as a doctoral candidate for Baylor University in Waco, Texas. It is titled Music and Mathematics, a Reciprocal Relationship, Action Research with Third Graders from Cheyenne Elementary School in Cheyenne, Oklahoma. A quick overview of the content shows that I will be discussing my problem and purpose statements, literature review highlights, the methodology, research questions, an overview of findings, implications of the study, as well as a distribution plan. During my time as an educator in various capacities for Cheyenne Public Schools, I found that in 3 of the last 7 years, Cheyenne third graders scored lower in mathematics than in reading on the annual state-mandated Oklahoma Core Curriculum test, specifically in the areas of geometry and measurement. Therefore, the problem investigated in this research is how to improve students' depth of knowledge and knowledge retention in geometry and measurement through the use of music instruction. I began developing a curriculum also called Music and Mathematics, a Reciprocal Relationship, which led me to the development of my purpose statement that says, the purpose of this study is to bring to light practical ways music educators can assist their colleagues and their students in learning concepts that are tied to 2 Oklahoma math standards, geometry and music, while also teaching musical concepts and objectives. From this point forward, I will refer to both the study and the curriculum as MMRR. When reviewing literature pertaining to music's effects upon the brain's plasticity, 2 key studies to consider include those by Mateo Aparicio and Rodriguez Morenos in 2019, and Herholtz and Zatorre in 2012. They state that brain plasticity, which is found in the corpus callosum, is the ability of the nervous system to change its activity in response to intrinsic or extrinsic stimuli by reorganizing its structure, functions, or connections. Furthermore, their studies ascertain that intense training in music beginning in early childhood shows brain plasticity as having a denser and larger effect than that of one without vigorous instruction and practice. Studies concerning the relationship between music and knowledge retention are plentiful. Riata, 2016, suggests the effects that music has on the brain are beyond mood, showing an increase in one's cognitive abilities. Yoho 2011 and Mayor 2018 submit students' comprehension of mathematical skills gain depth when combined with musical instruction. Then, when discussing the connection between music and higher order thinking skills, compelling studies such as those performed by Baumbarger 2000, Johnson 2004, and Tapuglo 2014 advocate that the skills learned through intense music instruction, participation, and performances increase problem-solving skills, critical listening skills, as well as social and emotional awareness. Finally, the effects of music on academic success have been studied by people like Johnson and Mamat in 2006 and Muse in 2014, who found that participation in music study shows positive effects on student academic success on mandated exams beginning as early as 3rd grade through the culminating SAT exams for 12th graders. The more a student engaged in music programs, the more positive the correlation between music and the indicators. My literature review is much more expansive than what I'm able to share with you in this presentation. However, findings in multiple studies in all of the areas presented here helped me decide on my chosen methodology of action research utilizing the Teaching for Understanding theoretical framework. In this section of the presentation, the methodology section, I will discuss Teaching for Understanding framework, action research design, my site selection, and the sampling of participants. The Teaching for Understanding framework begins with generative topics. These consist of topics that are central to one or more disciplines. They are engaging to learners and instructors and are readily available to learners. They also provide multiple avenues for connections. Once generative topics have been established, understanding goals are formed. These goals are statements or questions indicating the objectives to be explored and mastered. Learners are then encouraged to decide on or develop their own performances of understanding that show mastery of the understanding goals. Throughout the cyclical process, instructors utilize both formative and summative assessments. At any time during the process, instructors and learners are free to move back and forth between each stage, which allows for modification of any of the components in order for the learner to reach their full potential in the material explored. The cyclical nature of the TFU framework aligns well with the action research design chosen for my study. There are 6 steps identified for successful action research. They are: 1. Identify the issue explored. 2. Attempt different ways to resolve the issue. 3. Collect, analyze, and interpret data throughout the study. 4. Reflect on the findings. 5. Explore new findings with others involved. And 6. Based on reflections, investigate other actions that may or may not lead to resolution or improvement in the issue. Because action research is conducted by teachers or other school-related personnel who seek to study their own and their school's practices, it was a perfect fit for my study. I wanted to investigate and reflect on practices I use in the music classroom to discover how I could assist my colleagues and my students in their mathematics learning. Cheyenne Elementary School provides instruction for students in pre-K through 8th grade. We have approximately 240 students, and the student population consists of 74.8% Caucasian students, 14.6% Hispanic, and 10.6% who are 2 or more races. It should be noted that pre-K through 6th grade attend music class daily. All of the 3rd graders from Cheyenne Elementary participated in the MMRR curriculum implementation. I collected consent and assent forms from the students, their parents, the classroom teacher, as well as the administration. A random number generator from calculator.net designated the 5 students who would become the participants, then took part in semi-structured interviews and work sample collection for the remainder of the study's data collection phases. Of course, I utilized pseudonyms throughout the reporting process. The 2 research questions I investigated in my study were: first, how does a music curriculum tied to 2 Oklahoma academic standards for 3rd grade mathematics impact students' academic performance in mathematics? And second, what are the experiences of 3rd graders in relation to MMRR's curriculum implementation? What you see here is a visual representation of the data collection and analysis process utilized in my study. The first set of data collected consisted of scores from the 3rd graders' mathematics benchmark administered in early March. These scores helped me determine exactly which 2 objectives to target through music content, which were attributes of 3D shapes for geometry and elapsed time for measurement. Then I conducted initial interviews with the 5 participants to get a feel for each of their preferred learning environments and learning styles. With information gleaned from the interviews, I began implementing MMRR curriculum focusing on the attributes of 3D shapes. I observed the students and collected work samples. Work samples included a slide presentation created by 2 participants with pictures of musical objects found in our classroom that displayed attributes of 3D shapes. Another participant wrote an original song about the characteristics of 3D shapes. Following this unit of instruction, I collected and conducted another set of interviews seeking the participants' reflections about their experiences in the music room and whether they transferred their learning from the music room to the mathematics classroom. The second unit of instruction, elapsed time, also included observations and collection of work samples that showed their thought processes when applying elapsed time to musical performances. In early May, their classroom teacher administered the second benchmark exam, providing me with data that showed increases or decreases in student scores for the targeted areas of instruction. The concluding interviews with the participants allowed me insight into their experiences with the MMRR curriculum, which in turn allowed me to reflect on modifications and additions to the curriculum for future use. Here you see a table that shows the first benchmark percentages for the 5 participants in the areas of 3D shape attributes and elapsed time. Scores shown in the 6th column for attributes of 3D shapes ranged from 23% to 59%, while scores shown in the last column for elapsed time ranged from 33% to 65%. Following all of the implementation of the curriculum and all of the interviews and the collection of work samples, the second benchmark assessment results and reflections were collected. For the area of attributes of 3D shapes, there was a 5% increase for the whole class and an 8% increase for participants. For the area of elapsed time, there was a 5.7 increase for the whole class and a 21% increase for participants. The participants all expressed their enjoyment of the activities provided through MMRR's curriculum. However, not all of them demonstrated transfer of skills from the musical setting to the mathematics setting. By no means am I saying that the increase of scores occurred solely because of the curriculum implemented in the music room. Learners' depth of knowledge and its retention are strengthened when they are able to make connections across content areas. I am blessed to work with teachers whose desire is to work collaboratively in providing the best educational experiences for all of our students. So now what? What are the implications? We need to view music as a discipline through a new lens because learners' academic success has the potential to increase as music educators provide blended instruction such as that found in Music and Math, a Reciprocal Relationship. Schools need to support the use of music instruction to enhance the material students learn in the academic room. And music educators should seek and utilize resources such as the MMRR curriculum to blend academic and music content consistently and in more depth than merely singing songs about colors, letters, and shapes. The distribution plan that I've created begins with a condensed presentation to Cheyenne Public Schools Board of Education and Administration. I would also like to do a professional presentation to key stakeholders, including administration, teachers, staff, as well as participants and their parents or guardians. And I would love to do a professional presentation to Oklahoma music educators at their annual winter conference in January of 2023. Here are just a few of the references that I used throughout my study. Thank you very much for allowing me to share my research with you. I look forward to addressing any questions or comments from you and my defense committee.